All right, welcome to the professors. We ain't crazy, we're licensed.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Mark Brana, licensed clinical professional counselor.
Casey Casillas Nichols, CPC, HBIC.
Let's be real. Just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Shamika Green, Tesla Queen, licensed marriage and family therapist, trauma specialist. It's your girl.
I like that. Trauma specialist.
Trauma specialist.
Come through.
Very appropriate considering what we're talking about today.
Well, yeah.
Dun,
But-
dun, dun.
But before we get in, thank you to Scott Vera at Level 9 Studios for making us sound good, look good. Who else? Who else we got to thank?
I think we're
Lord?
topic ready.
No.
Yeah, we're ready to dive in.
Myself.
Yeah.
I'm like myself.
So this episode, we're talking about sibling trauma, and in doing a little research for the show, knowing kind of where I think we're going to be going, because we sometimes
knows?
go a little sideways
Go rogue.
and backwards and roundabout. I found that obviously there's definitely different directions this topic could go, and I'm interested to see where you guys want to go with this. So when we're looking at sibling trauma, what do you guys want to talk about?
Pause it. Pause it 1 second. Go ahead, Shamika.
No, go ahead, Kanye.
Okay. Did you call me Cayenne? Or
Okay.
what's Cayenne?
Kanye. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Kanye. I'm gonna let you finish.
Right. Go ahead.
How many siblings do you have? I think we need to put that out there first before we start any
Definitely.
topic. So
Definitely.
I probably should have said this before the podcast, so then we came in like that, but whatever.
No,
It's sloppy Saturday. So all right, Marshall.
But I mean, no, it makes sense because we're all going to have very different perspectives.
Absolutely.
So I have 3 siblings.
Really?
Two older sisters and 1 younger brother. So I'm in the middle. I'm the third child in that birth order.
Blended family or
No.
Okay.
No, not blended.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're mixed of a lot of things.
Oh yeah, no, but
you know.
that's not what I meant. Shamika,
One of one. I have one sister.
one sister.
Younger sister. We're 6 years apart.
Okay.
I am the older sibling.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're all about 18 months apart from each other.
Ooh.
Oh,
Catholic.
okay. I was like, ooh-wee.
Catholic, and my parents
been freaking.
followed that.
Yeah. So I have the ultimate blended, so I'm gonna hit you with it right now, okay?
Okay.
I have 3 sisters. One sister we share the same parents. Another set of sisters we have different moms.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I have a brother who's my stepbrother, but nonetheless he is like
Yeah.
Brother.
he is my brother. There is no two ways about it. So in total, I have 3 sisters, 1 brother. I am the oldest of all of them.
Wow.
And I'm sure, yeah, those are my siblings. So
Okay. So, when we're looking at this, why don't we give the eldest the honor of going first? But what are some of the traumas that an eldest sibling carries?
Hold on real quick, though. Because before Casey started, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about us in the older podcast. And I was like,
Right.
one of the major older sibling traumas was, do you have McDonald's money? Like that in
Right,
my head
right.
was literally like,
Yeah.
because the older sibling, you didn't get it.
no.
The younger, it was whatever. Like the parent, you could do and give you any and everything you want. Older sibling, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just not really a
I
thing.
literally saw a meme this morning before I came in here that had this really pretty black girl there with like, she just looked done. And then it was
Okay.
like, she was at Disneyland. And she's like, I'm buying every single popcorn,
Right.
churro because I got Disneyland money, my own Disneyland money. I was like,
yeah.
man,
Okay.
that hit different
part,
for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
older siblings.
Okay. So because you're the first child, and this is something even with my own kids I've seen play out. Because the first child is definitely the test run.
Absolutely.
Where parents typically make a lot of the mistakes, and I don't necessarily know that they are mistakes, but
you're learning,
and
navigating.
it's not like the kid comes with an instruction manual,
right?
Which, God, that would help. And I know even with my own kids, observing the difference in them even as a baby. Because my wife was very, she's very aware of things. She's very with our oldest, everything had to be clean, every surface sanitized. Okay. And I remember, if my oldest had dropped any food on the floor, it went into the trash. It didn't matter. And so when we had our second child, I remember she was a baby, and I think it was like a little blueberry fell on the floor, and she goes crawling towards it. And I'm watching this happen like it's in slow motion to see what the reaction's going to be. And I knew things were different when I saw my wife look and go, meh. And she let it, because with the first one, that wouldn't have happened.
I'm sorry. Yes, this is, I'm literally picturing it. Like I'm watching it play out. Nothing wrong with a little lint on a blueberry.
Man, it's just like all those commercials where they. I was like that with
Kiss
the
it
first
up to
one. I
God.
don't give a shit. Yeah, fuck them kids. Fuck all them kids. All right, your trauma. Which one do you think stands out to you?
Older sibling trauma.
Yeah.
So yes, to piggyback off what Mark was saying too, I think that because I probably had a different version of my mother. She was young, navigating. But I think for older sibling, for me, it's definitely being more like a parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been until recently that the roles have shifted with my sister and I. Like, we are siblings now. Before, I was more of a parental figure. And two, a lot of factors went into that because I did raise her when I was like 15, 16, like no lie, on my own. So I've been like her mother for so long, and she look at me like I'm her mother. And so there's probably some unrealistic expectations on her end too as to what she needs to do because she's looking at me as I'm her parent. So that is the biggest thing.
Okay.
You become the parent when you are the older sibling. Well, at least in my case.
Okay, so you were like parentified to handle all that.
Absolutely. And then I had to grow up really fast. So
Do you feel it kind of robbed you of some of your childhood?
and that has nothing to do with like my sister. It's just my
The
childhood.
situation, the circumstances.
The circumstances.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you become, and again, I always say this because of where I live and where I'm from, the black girl, being in the hood, but you become an adult way too fast. You don't get to slow down and live and be a kid. You are an adult really early. You're doing some adult things.
Right.
Way ahead of time. That's trauma.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think too, just the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And despite because I like to think that like my parents, when they were together, which I can't even remember if they were ever together, but when they were good parents, but their environment that they were in was not conducive to me and my sister at all. You know what I mean? Like going to parties in neighborhoods like we definitely weren't supposed to be in.
Oh.
Being around
Okay.
hella drugs. Like it just was not, you know what I mean? It just
Boy, I
wasn't.
got a story.
But then that's the thing though too, because then like they raised her and I to like not be assholes and not be like that. And so, and my dad was like very strict with me. So it's like, it goes back to what Mark was saying about, it's the learning phase of like how you do shit. But
Right.
Yeah.
I think early on that was they were young because I remember I was young.
Yeah.
And when I got a little bit older, like elementary school age, it changed. But back in their heyday, I guess back when the shit was lit.
It was when it was popping.
Yeah. But I will say one of my traumas was just one that maybe not a trauma, but something that I'm pissed off about. Like it just makes me fucking mad.
Clear the air.
Why is it that when June 25th comes around and that's my birthday, my little sister had to get a present from my mom too?
Oh shit.
Oh.
Now see, we don't talk about that. Okay.
So
it's not your birthday.
It's not your birthday. It's mine. June 25th is today. Last time I checked, that cake is a strawberry cake.
But
because
you wouldn't be
for
here
me.
if she didn't push you out.
So, yeah. Oh, I heard that plenty of times. But then all the time, and she would always say, like, yeah, but your sister's going to be, she's going to be sad. I'm like, and I'm just staring at her and like looking like, let the bitch be sad. It's my day. I don't care. You know what I mean? I love you, Adrian, but you ain't right for that shit. I'm still mad.
It's not your day.
It's not your day. So when my birthday comes around, I should probably give her a present just for shits and giggles. Like, Mom sent this from heaven.
Get her one of those.
It's like, I'd be so petty. I'd be so petty.
So petty.
Well, and I think you guys bring up some pretty good points because the environment does matter.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, we were pretty fortunate where we were living because it was a small town.
Okay.
Like some of the stuff that if we were in a different environment could have been different. You know, we were in a fairly safe environment where we could, you know, run all over town and do everything. And some of the issues just weren't there that you would find in a bigger city. And that's probably something that saved us from ending up in some really bad situations. Yeah. You know, because granted, to keep in mind too, like I grew up, you know, I'm a child of the 80s. You know,
Same.
So what would be considered negligent parenting these days was considered good parenting.
Yeah.
You know,
lock yourself in the house and lock the door.
Can I just say, like, what my vision is of Mark's family? Every time you bring it up,
go ahead.
Especially because of where you guys lived, and like,
because you Midwest, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I always think
northern
of like
Minnesota.
Okay,
almost Canada.
Okay.
I think of Clark Griswold, and I see like he's like I see, and I don't know if it was like a station wagon.
Oh, we had
like
a station
or like
wagon.
a van or something.
We
but then,
we had station
but
wagons.
I see like your parents in the front. Your badass kids in the back, and like all your siblings.
My youngest brother was usually on the bench seat between him in the front, and then me and my sisters were in the back.
And like everybody's pissed off, or everybody's enjoying each other, and I'm always like, "Damn."
Fairly accurate. Fairly accurate.
I'm not gonna say that the auntie got left on the roof when she's dead, but I don't know that far. But definitely,
hilarious.
Definitely, I picture Clark Griswold.
Not too inaccurate. Not too inaccurate. I guarantee you, my sisters are probably laughing at that comparison.
I hope so.
You know, but yeah, the environment allowed for some of us, or for us to grow up in a where we were doing things that kids today just can't do. You can't go out and be. Like, we would go out all day. Like, I'd get on my bike over to my friend's house. I'd be gone. We'd be riding bikes all over the town, and like miles and miles away from home. And there were no cell phones. Sorry, kids. But, like, we had to figure shit out on our own.
Yeah.
We had to know how to get back home.
I was cooking. Someone else making hot cocoa on the stove. I almost burned the house down.
I was thinking about some of this too, because like I remember being in like first grade, second grade, riding my bike to school, which my school at the time was technically in a different state because we were right on the border, so you could ride. You just crossed the river and everything. And
not you crossing the river.
They just rode.
Boy,
they just let me ride my bike to school unsupervised.
Fucking just go.
But that was growing up in a small town though too. Yeah. Like people knew. I mean, pretty much knew everybody.
Right.
So like,
Yeah.
you know, but I think back, you know, my oldest sister definitely probably carries some of the, and still does, some of the responsibilities that were put on her as a child, and somewhat, and, you know, unfairly, because she was the one that, you know, had to take the brunt of a lot of things. She was always, you know, you're the oldest, you've got to be the example.
Yeah.
You know
and
better.
You
Yeah,
know better.
you know better.
And everything. And even to this day, as we're dealing with family stuff and everything, she always ends up being the one that takes the lead on some things.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
Can we just say the older sibling is the leader, even though nobody may want to agree with that? Like,
Absolutely.
let's be real. The oldest
Absolutely.
sibling
I 100%
is the
agree with that.
HBIC.
I would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Even what I find interesting too is even with my parents, it's still kind of that way, because my parents will isolate. You won't hear from them for months. I mean, it's like, well, are they still alive or what?
Yeah,
What's going
like,
on
what's
here?
going on?
And everything, but like when my oldest sister calls, you know, the Lancer and everything, and you know, so she's the one that usually has to take the lead because they'll listen a little more to her than they will to me, my middle sister, or my youngest brother.
Okay.
But I like to say too that the oldest one is probably the one that is the more stable most of the time, of like understanding everybody's personality. I hate to say it's like codependency, like making sure that everybody's okay.
Managing.
Yeah.
Well, they
manager.
are definitely the house manager.
The manager.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're the manager. Absolutely.
So-
Because you have to be, though. I'm thinking about, too, though, like, probably at some point, you probably got to get younger siblings in here, too, to talk about their traumas. But,
them kids.
yeah, right, Mark. Because, like, with my sister, I was thinking about when I think I was like 16, 17. Again, I'm raising her, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
my mom's locked up. You know, like, I'm for real in a house by myself with my sister. Insane. But I remember like going out to the park to Belle Isle in Detroit, and it is like that's the time where like it just was popping. You know, like it's almost like a little freak neat, right? So no,
Hey.
but I remember like partying, dancing, like, and then telling my sister like, "But you stay over here in the corner and just
Boy.
Don't talk to strangers.
right." But then I'm
Ain't
over
shit.
here like
Talking to
dancing,
strangers.
drowning, and I'm like, but I'm still taking care of you. So I want to do as I say, not as I do.
Fact.
So-
Sheesh.
but I was still parenting. Like, I still was
Don't
being-
do this.
as you back that ass up.
Not the freak knee.
But the other thing too, my sister and I was just talking about recently of when I was supposed to pick her up from school and fucking around, and I was watching Jenny Jones, and I fell
God,
asleep.
listen,
Jenny
you can't be
Jones.
faulted for that. Jenny Jones is
Jenny Jones.
mesmerizing.
Chokehold, did it not?
Jenny Jones.
was
Did
she
she
is
not
a
have
lost
you in a-
gem right now because
Really, where's Jenny? Where
bring
is
back
she?
Jenny and
Where's Jenny?
Did she die?
no, I don't think so. No,
I don't think so.
and
no.
Sally Jesse Raphael, I'll fuck with
Yeah,
her too.
yeah. Ricky Lake,
Yep.
like
Geraldo Rivera.
exact
Back in the day.
Montel.
Montel.
But I fell asleep on the couch. I was supposed to pick her up, but she walked home and it was snowing. You know, Michigan is bad when it's snowing.
Yeah.
So it was hours later I woke up and I
Oh.
frantically opened the door and she was there and she was crying. I won't tell the full story, but I was like, "Don't tell mom, or you're gonna get in trouble."
The magic words. And that almost
reversed that shit on her, and so I apologize publicly.
I see.
She gaslit the fuck out of you.
I always wonder if like I don't think I really did that to my two younger sisters are 10 years apart from me.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a
That's a
big
nice
age gap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I put them chicks into like weird ass situations because of my scary ass. And there was one time where I was looking out the window. You know, like at houses, like where they just have windows like at the
Right,
top
right.
for
Yeah.
no fucking reason. So I'm like, I'm at upstairs looking outside the window, and my sisters, if I'm 16, they're like 6 and 5 or
Little.
6 and 4,
Ooh,
right?
Yeah.
My dad wasn't there. It was just me and them. And I'm looking, and then I see this
Shit,
guy.
Casey.
Like, it is dark with like a flashlight, like looking in the neighbor's like house. And I'm like, fuck. So I freak out because, listen, I grew up different than these little girls, obviously.
Right.
My room had a secret door and a secret like thing to go into the attic.
This sounds like an episode of Goosebumps.
Yeah. I fucking put those little girls in there, and there's like a little, like if you go down and to the right hand side, there's like a little cubby hole, I think.
Yeah.
I made them like go all the way, and I said, do not open this door. Like, it was a fucking movie. Like, I went, did all this shit, called the police because I was freaked out because the back sliding glass door was open. I was like, fuck. It's called the police, blah, blah, blah. Man, it ended up being the neighbor, like his own fucking house. And
episode of Goonies.
Yeah. And it was his own house, and like he was like, hey, thank you so much though. But they were laughing, but I felt bad because I probably scared the shit out of my sisters.
You
of
protecting. Like,
I know, but that's the overbearing. That's
the protection.
That's the manager.
For sure. But then that's like when you know like you were not ready for that type of shit. Because you probably could have just been cool, calm, collected, go lock the door. Do something different.
Why do you think the oldest child gets all these responsibilities put on them?
Because we're free childcare.
Yeah, just lock the door. Don't open it for no one. Probably because the parent needs help probably at that time. You know, like, I don't know. I'm just probably thinking from my own situation.
Yeah.
You know, like, you need an extra person in the village. And so rightfully you are going to be next in line to step up, I guess.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. And, you know, it's interesting hearing the perspectives of you guys because, again, you guys were the oldest, you know. I think of, like, my experience being in the middle. I was the third child. And so it is. It's a different experience. You definitely get different versions of your parents. You know, for me, in a lot of ways too, it was kind of like the middle child's often the forgotten child.
I've heard that.
You know,
really?
Yeah, like
who was the one on the Brady Bunch?
Well,
that was like the
Jan.
It was, yeah.
Marsha.
Right,
yeah,
right.
but in a lot of ways, there's some truth to that. You know, and I was the third. So my oldest sister was like the first of the middle children, my older sister, and then it was me. And, you know, so on top of that, it's not like I had older brothers to look up to. I only had older sisters. So very different growing up than some of my friends who had older brothers. Learned some lessons about having older brothers later, you know, because like just some of the shit that would happen. But like, yeah, it's different because, you know, being the middle child, my sisters, you know, when we were teenagers, you know, they had curfews and everything. I don't necessarily think my parents at that point really bothered with me.
That's some shit.
You know?
I'm having reactivity right now.
Yeah. But I mean, some of the things that had happened prior to even me hitting that age and everything. But yeah, like I don't think I had a curfew. I can't remember one ever being discussed.
It's all sad.
But yeah, you're the forgotten child, you know, in a lot of ways. I remember being I want to say I was in like 7th grade or something. I went on a class trip. We went skiing. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, middle America, come through.
No, so
Middle America.
so I came back.
Okay.
And everything, and came back at night. And I remember kind of walking in, and my dad was like, "Where have you been?"
Damn it, Macaulay Culkin.
You know, and it's like, yeah, and Home Alone is a good example. You know,
Right.
I don't know how many times like I remember getting like lost in Kmart because like this was the time again when I'm like, I'm gonna go look at the toys. And then it's like, okay.
They're looking
Yeah,
at
And then it's like-
Joe.
Fucking Kevin
where's
McAllister
Mom?
having ass over here.
What the hell, you know? But I mean, that's one of the biggest things, you know, is, you know,
What did
you are
Dad say, Mark?
nothing.
Where have you been, Mark?
Where you been? You know, and like, I'm like,
You missed supper.
Just that's a whole nother story. But Yeah, like he's like, where have you been? I'm like, he's on a ski trip. He goes, you didn't unload the dishwasher.
Shit.
Like, I haven't even been home.
See, it's interesting because my ex-husband was the middle child. Like middle. He had one older brother, one older sister, one younger brother, one younger sister. And for sure, he's the favorite. For sure.
Oh, I'm not the favorite.
Yeah, and then that's why I find it so interesting. It's just because he for sure is the favorite. Because he did everything for them. He was just like a yes man. Like, okay, he did everything for his parents, and he still does. Like, he loves them. But for sure, he's the favorite. And like, he would never see it that way. But as the oldest, just like seeing the family dynamic, I thought like, he ain't fucking fooling anybody.
I honestly think middle children are in this perpetual fight to prove they exist.
Oh,
like Jan Brady.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. You know, because even now, like some of the things that I've done in this constant like imposter syndrome that I experience, I think has a lot to do with the fact that I just need to prove I exist. If I just do this, then it'll prove
Drop
that
the mic.
It'll prove that, you know, I exist or I am as important and everything. And
You just dropped the...
you know, but it's true. Like most of my, I remember growing up, like my dad, like he didn't do a lot of stuff. Like I remember he went to like my sister's basketball games.
Okay.
I only remember him going to one, maybe two of my football games the entire time. And
Literally
he didn't even,
the frick guy.
and he didn't even walk down the hill to go to the field and watch it. He watched from on top of the hill in his car so he could listen to the radio.
Oh, shit.
You know.
Petty.
So I mean, it
Watched
was
it from the wagon.
But
Yeah.
I'm wondering
On top of the hill.
But I'm wondering if that's one of them things that it's like the older sister got that and then it went away. Like in exchange of a no curfew, you know what I mean? She got basketball games being watched.
Right.
And then you got
I
to
love
do
the
whatever.
reframing.
I'm
Yeah.
trying. No, but
don't therapize me, goddammit.
I wonder
I will not accept.
if you were to
no, but you know what? It makes me
Yeah.
think
change
of.
your
It makes me think of the actual middle child that I birthed.
Yeah.
And a lot of that behavior that you're saying makes so much sense now after this summer. So
Well, what's funny is when Shamika's talking about like her sisters there, and she's like, "Don't tell, because you'll get in trouble." It reminds me of my middle sister, because she broke my nose twice in childhood, and I managed to be the one in trouble both times.
you fucked around, found out, Mark.
I didn't though. Like what? You know, back in the day when the playgrounds were all steel.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we were
hot as
yeah.
hell.
I was maybe like 4 or something, and I guess
were
she.
little.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the chain of events was. Maybe it was blocked out because of the trauma.
Trauma.
Yeah, alleged. If you ask her,
Alleged.
if you ask her, alleged. But I just
Damn it,
know that
sis.
somehow my face collided with a steel pole.
Oh.
And on the way home, as my nose is bleeding profusely, I was told exactly that. Don't say anything or you'll get in trouble.
Oh, shit.
And then later in life, she had this fun game that she liked to play where she would tell you if you put your hand in front of your face and it's bigger, you have cancer. And if you put your hand up, she'd punch you.
Not cancer.
Yeah. And so she did that, and like literally, I'm bleeding down there, and somehow I got, and
Because you ruined a new shirt.
yeah,
Right.
possibly, but
We just got that from Kmart.
I was, you know, she's like, hold on, let me go get this or something, and went upstairs and told I don't know what she told my parents, but I know by the time I went upstairs,
Oh, man.
I was the one in trouble, and I'm like, I'm bleeding profusely.
Right.
But that's how like
Fucked up the good shirt
Those-
from Penny's.
but those are like the best psych outs, right? Like when you're fighting
Right.
when you're fighting with your sibling and it's like, I'll tell mom. And you just sit there and I'll be like, Mom,
Yeah,
what?
Sounds like that.
I love you. And like scare my sister like, bitch, don't fuck with me.
right.
I run this. Oh, it's all gonna come together today for me.
Oh, it is.
Right. It's Trigger City. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I can see that, being the struggle of the middle child is, yeah, this constant and perpetual cycle of proving existence,
Yeah. So I can see that for you. And then again, the older sibling too at least in my experience I do remember at some point though, when I got older, my sister was like the angel though, like she could do no wrong. And I remember always telling my mother, like, no, she did this, she did that, this. And she's like, no, she didn't, and it wasn't until one day my sister was doing some shit and my mother came around the corner and caught her. And I was like, fucking finally, and it wasn't until then that
Shamika, go to your room.
the truth, right?
Yeah.
The truth came out. And I was like, finally, but she had to catch her in the act in order to really believe that, because my sister was banking on it. Like, Mama not gonna believe you. Like,
Listen, because she's right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, even
Oh,
when
here
my
it comes.
sister got caught, you think Sharice, even Casey probably put you up to it.
I'm like, damn, I'm still at fault.
Yeah. So
No matter what.
you know
I
what?
wasn't even involved.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister did some grimy shit and like she colored it.
No,
And I'm so
shit.
putting my sister on blast.
shit. You
She
put her on
colored she
Calling out her
colored
name.
some tile and colored it with crayon on and
Oh, you
the
getting your ass beat.
yeah, and the grout. And my
Oh.
dad came home and was like, "Who the fuck did this?" And I'm like, "I didn't do that. Why the fuck? Like, why would I do that?"
Right.
And then he looks at my sister and he's like, "I'm gonna whip Casey's ass until you tell me who did it." So I got my ass whipped.
What?
Whipped.
That's some
Did
bullshit.
she ever say it?
No. No,
Smart
she
kid.
did not. So then she started getting whipped. Do you think
Wow.
I wasn't saying shit? Like, I'm over here like trying to aid my pains of like and then she fesses up after she gets whipped one time.
Wow.
It was me. I was like, "You're gonna die, bitch." Like you're gonna
She would have
You know
did
what I
so
mean?
well in first 48.
yeah. She probably does. Like I took a lot of shit from her. But then like knowing her now, it's just some shit doesn't change and that's just her personality. She's
Right.
Yeah.
she needs that. But that's what my parents gave her is like
Yeah.
no tea, no shade. No tea, no shade. But they coddled her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they've always made her feel like she needed to be, like really, really nurtured and stuff like
Nurtured.
that.
Yeah.
And
So that goes into what do you think the traumas for the youngest child would be? Mm-hmm. Because you're talking about being coddled and being nurtured. And I see that with my youngest brother, that's kind of how he was raised. We, where he was coddled, he was nurtured, he was a lot, he was allowed to get away with stuff that we weren't, and how that affects a person later in life, that's really where you start seeing it because that ability to, navigate certain things maybe isn't there in the same way it is with the older siblings.
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder too, though, if the older sibling is quote unquote like successful or doing things like as the younger sibling, like is that a lot of pressure to live up to what they're doing too? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like, why are you not like this, your sister, or why are you not like this person?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a lot of pressure.
It is. And I know for me, I went through that, and it wasn't until recently that I found out some of what I had been told wasn't even accurate about the situation. But my perception was, both of my sisters were straight A students, good students, and all this stuff. And, I always felt like I didn't live up to those standards. Only to find out that, again, my oldest sister's like, I wasn't a straight A student. And everything, but I was always told, why can't you do this? Because I was a little more rebellious. Why can't you do this like your sisters? Why are you
That comparison.
Yeah. And honestly, part of the reason it was just easier to get in trouble and get attention than it was to
There it is.
than it was to just keep doing what they were doing, because you never felt good enough.
Or seen.
Yeah.
So naturally.
Yeah. Easiest way to prove you exist.
Right.
Do something.
That's really good.
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah, look at me throwing shit out.
I mean, you're on it.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that you were saying reminds me of like in your, maybe whoever, like relationships that you guys have, interpersonal or not. But my husband's the only child, and an only
Let's
child.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Where's
it.
Spoonie?
Let's talk about it
Only
when you're in a
child
relationship.
is yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. Like it's like to have somebody else in their bubble.
Let's talk about it.
Like
Right.
like the world doesn't evolve around me.
Right.
Like what the fuck is going on? And it's just, sometimes I catch myself getting pissed off, and I have to remember, like, this dude didn't have any siblings, so he doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then coming from an older sibling, it's like, I'm gonna slap the taste out of his mouth because he don't get his place in life. You know what I mean? And it's just interesting.
The chocolate's coming off.
Yeah, it's just super interesting. But then, like, the way that he is able to juggle the kids, where it's
Right.
the all their blended kids, is like seamlessly. But just like being a peer to him, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So
to
glad
be,
you brought that up.
the only sibling. He was a twin originally, and his twin he didn't formulate or whatever.
Wow.
He used to say he ate his twin, but I forgot what the
Spoonie took him out.
I forgot what the actual term is. So
Yeah.
so then there's that too,
Okay.
which is like a whole different dynamic
Oh,
that I think
man.
is interesting. What do you think about the only child?
I was just gonna say, period, though, of like the birth order, though, and then being in
Yeah.
those relationships, because I did date someone that was an only child, but that was a lot of like attention, a lot of me, because he was the only child. So that was a little tough to navigate. I've also dated, married to someone who was the youngest. So that was tough because then you are the leader, and they are, the one that's normally catered to again, and, a little bit of entitlement too. And then the youngest, you still managing, you
Yeah.
still playing that manager role. So that makes a difference. So I wonder how it is if it was two people and they were both older siblings, like how would that
Yeah.
be able to...
I wonder too, like with an only child, because I guess, some of the values of having older siblings or being in that dynamic is you go through some stuff where it teaches you how to navigate stress, how to navigate certain situations, because older siblings and siblings in general can be pretty ruthless towards each other, when you're fighting, when you're doing things, and only children don't go through that. And I wonder, how that affects their ability to navigate when they get out in society, and then people are like that.
conflict resolution type.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. No, I do. So for you, is your wife, does she have siblings?
Yeah, she's a middle child too.
Really?
She
crazy.
is by definition the middle child because she has an older sister who's about 2 years, give or take,
Okay.
older than she is, and then she has a younger brother who would be about 4 years younger than her. So that actually kind of leads into I wonder how culture affects these dynamics.
Yeah.
Especially when you're getting culture, from looking at my wife's experience was probably fairly similar. I think from the stories that she's told.
Okay.
But growing up, for them was very different too because they were very poor.
Okay.
But my wife's Chinese, so the culture in China at the time was very different. And actually, even the way that they do things is very different than here. Because like when you're in school, you actually go and you live at the school, in dormitories, even when you're young. And so you don't necessarily, you come home at different times. And sometimes, yes, you do, depending on how close the school is to the village, you may go to school or whatever, but like it's different. It is very different.
So they stay, really?
Yeah. Certain ages, they live at the school while they're in the
I
school.
would have loved that as a parent.
Oh, I'm
See, I
sure.
would have loved that as a kid.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah. I'd be like Miles Morales in this bitch. Like, just send me the call. Like, I just don't want to do anything. Yeah.
Oh, my
That's
kids love
so
Miles Morales.
Who
different.
doesn't love Miles Morales?
They also like Ghost Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so it's different. And I wonder how the dynamics change. Because even like in a Hispanic household, I know the oldest daughter is usually treated very differently than the oldest son. You know, and where the oldest daughter is typically the one that is running the household, you know, like mom's right hand, caretaking, you know, if there's younger siblings and everything. And I know a lot of times the sons are treated very differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
You
how
know.
it is.
I mean, my dad had all girls in my
Yeah.
house. So when I was growing up,
Okay.
like, he was definitely outnumbered. But
Right.
I think maybe that's why he had to be who he was, because he wasn't taking anybody's bullshit, like not any of us.
He just comes in destroying.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I think I said this once before, like when one of my sisters would just be screaming or whatever, and he'd take them to the bathroom and come back and they'd be like not crying anymore. And I asked my dad, like, dang, you're good with them. What'd you do? He was like, I whipped their ass. I'm like, oh. Because I just assumed.
That's the famous line. You want me to take you to the bathroom?
I know, because I just assumed like they went down there and like, because they were the younger siblings,
Okay.
they probably got like, let me give you an ice cream.
Oh,
Right,
hell
right,
no.
right.
That's
Oh,
what I
hell
imagined.
no.
Yeah. So when he said that, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's culture. That you know it. You want me to take you to the bathroom? You know
Shit.
what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And Sharice just look at me. I'm like, R.I.P.
That look.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, it's interesting hearing you guys though kind of talk about it, because it coming from being the middle child, you know, it's very easy to assume that most people's childhood was very similar, but to kind of see it from a different perspective has been kind of fascinating for me. You know, because it, like, I look at my older sisters and I right now, we're pretty close. We talk fairly regularly. My younger brother, like, we do, but it's a different type of relationship. And that does stem, you know, he was the golden child. You know, I remember, you know, we're all doing chores and, you know, cleaning the house and doing stuff. And this fucker's laying on the couch going, my stomach hurts. And it was allowed,
Stomach hurt.
you know.
He's got to die.
Well,
He's gotta
my middle sister, the one that broke my nose, was also
Not that one.
she was the one that would handle that business. You know,
The enforcer.
she was Joe Pesci in that situation.
Enforcer.
You know, but yeah, you know, it's fascinating, you know, for me, because again, the dynamics are different, you know, when you come from later in the birth order to being the first, because the first clearly has a lot on their shoulders that they're carrying. And as kids, I never understood, you know, what my oldest sister went through.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can all live in the same house and have different perspectives.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And different views on what happened from your own lens. And so that's one of the things that I talk about a lot with my sister too. And I love now that we're having these conversations, because some of the things I went through, like, only I know and know what it feels. But then when she tells me stuff, I'm like, wow, I didn't know you went through that, or
Yeah.
you were feeling this kind of way, you know?
Right.
Because again, you can be in the same household and have two different
Yeah.
perspectives,
So true.
you know, and you're like, wait, what? You thought? No, like, you know, and so we've been having some deep ass conversations, and it's made me like be more empathetic to my sister too, of like, damn, I didn't even know you felt like that or went through that. I thought you were too young, you know what I mean, to even
Yeah.
grasp what was going on. But
While
no.
Shamika grinding up on them dudes, dancing.
Right. Turn your head, sis.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when you say that shit, because it just made me think of like me and my sisters. And this is before my dad married his wife that had my brother, right?
Okay.
So just me and my sisters. At that time, my sister that we share the same parent went to go live with my mom, and I still lived with my dad. So it was me and then my two youngest sisters, and then my other sister was with my mom. So there would be times where it was just blatant that like almost I just lived there. Like I was renting a room.
Right.
Straight up. But it was
Straight
still
like that?
Yeah, but it was still like under the iron fist.
Yeah.
But I just rented space
Right.
there. So like I can remember there have been like times where I was just left for like a week while they like went on a work trip, but it was like vacation.
Okay.
Right.
Took the younger girls with them, and then it was just me at the house.
Yeah.
Like
But I mean,
Yeah.
back,
You know what I mean?
back
Yeah,
in the
like-
day, if you were a certain age, they would do that, and it wasn't.
no, yeah, but I mean, I think as a parent now, it bugs me because
Hell
like
yeah.
that is wild as fuck
Hell
that
yeah.
anybody signed off on it. And at the same
Right.
time, Sharice is telling me like that is not right, and like you
Yeah.
are
Yep.
too young
Yeah.
to be in that house by yourself, and I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. To me, like I'm 15, like I'm about to,
It's on.
yeah, like I'm about to have every
Right.
single
Party.
part, yeah. But
But
Sharice is mad, and then
Yeah.
I start thinking
Yeah.
now, like, oh shit, I would have never.
But I mean that's the thing is like when you were in it, you know, and it was a different time, you know, because nowadays that would be grounds to have the kid removed from the house even at 15, and you know when we were kids, you know, well I think I'm a little bit older, so you know it was, yeah, you know,
Yeah, but see, I don't
But
even know if it was
going,
about the
though?
time. That's the thing. I don't think it's about like the act of like the time. I think it was more of you weren't invited.
okay.
There was an actual
You're gonna
separation.
feel intentionally
Okay.
that you were left out, because it's just making me think about somebody I was working with
Yeah.
on something very similar, and they carried that for a very long time because they felt
Gotcha.
separated. You know, they
Right.
felt left out, and I was like, well, yeah, because if you're told we're doing one thing, and the next thing we know, we
And then
see
you're
pictures
not.
of you
Yeah.
at Disneyland, and I'm not there. Yes, you're gonna feel
yeah.
Yeah.
some kind of way. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's
as I was putting Spoonie out there on Front Street and doing all that, I started
Riding
thinking
the
about like
bus.
my own shit. But then I remember like there was a point where I did feel like the only child
Yeah.
because then it's like I'm doing Casey. I'm going to basketball practice. I'm going
Yep.
to my games. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm smoking weed. I'm doing whatever.
Just on your
I'm
own.
I'm doing my thing. And
a
then
good time.
me and my sister would switch weekends, and so she would come to the house, and then I would go with Sharice, and then it was just me again.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
damn.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like you're the oldest, but then you're the only,
Yeah.
and it's
some point.
weird. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
bizarre because I'm like, man, I can just stay here like forever and not have to worry about shit, and like
Right.
I'm
You're
good.
solo.
Yeah.
That does
Yeah.
happen.
But then, and I think now that translates to like how I am when I just need time by myself. Like I just like it to.
And you can do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do it.
yeah.
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 And I feel sometimes I feel guilty because like they'll hey, do you want to come downstairs? And I just want to sit in a room that's quiet and just be by myself.
Sometimes you need that though.
For sure.
You know, but yeah, you know, as you're talking though, it's like all these stories from back when I was a kid start popping into my head. And you know, when you were talking about being 15 and going out and partying and all that stuff, and I remember, you know, because I knew that like I wasn't being monitored, you know, half the time they didn't even know if I was home. When I was about that age, you know, I would exploit that, you know, to.
I feel like you're just rubbing that in my face.
No,
right now.
no. It literally just reminded me of
I was at the
it
river.
reminded me of some of that because
It was on.
like it literally. So I remember, you know, because back before everyone had cell phones, you had the landlines in the house, right?
Oh shit.
At the
Yes.
covered wagons. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember
Like the shit you sent me. Sorry.
Right.
that there was. I wanted to go. We were going to go party somewhere. I don't remember, but I was going to be gone the whole weekend.
Did you guys have your frisbees?
The whole weekend.
the whole weekend?
frisbee.
What?
You know, no, we were gonna go out drinking.
The weekend?
The whole weekend we were gonna be.
Oh.
So I'm like,
Oh,
so
you was.
so what I did is I was already at my friend's house
Oh shit.
and everything, and I'm like, dude, here's what you got to do. I'm like, dial my number, and once it starts ringing, tell me, and I'll pick up the other phone. And so he does. My mom answers. She goes, hello, and I go, I got it. And she goes, oh, I didn't know you were home, and hung up. I'm like, I'm good for the weekend.
Wow. Philly badass. How did you even?
See, that sounds like some fucking Ferris Bueller.
It do.
Again,
It do.
Middle
It do.
America.
Ferris
like-
Bueller.
But
Bueller.
she wasn't even going to go check my room.
Ferris Bueller.
That is
Nothing.
definitely Ferris Bueller type
It really
shit.
is. It really is.
Let me find out. Let me know next time you're going to Chicago. I'm gonna dance in the streets
The
with
Sausage
you.
King. But like,
Not at the restaurant.
but I mean, no, it worked because I knew no one was going to go checking.
Damn,
know.
that was good.
That's wild as fuck. Shit.
Yeah,
That's
Like,
not.
I got it.
yeah, I got it.
Badass. You in that damn station wagon. That's crazy.
Oh no, there was no station wagon at that
Chris
point.
Walt,
That's
having ass.
That's
Golly.
hilarious. though.
But by that age, I just kind of learned to navigate with that
Right.
and use that, and that's probably why I never had a curfew too. Because
You're literally fucking Mr. Papa Giorgio
yeah,
from the Vegas with the sun.
right. You know, but like no, as you were talking, like a bunch of those stories, because the other side of that though too was before I could drive. Like I remember getting out of school, and both of my sisters made it to the car first, and I guess they didn't want to wait for me, so like he's got detention, and I would come out of the school, and I'd see the car going down the block. I'm like, fuck, I got to walk home again.
What the? This is literally like the Brady Bunch. Like, yeah.
And I didn't even have detention at that time. I was just late getting out of like I was getting down to
like,
class,
see
and
ya,
I'm
see you,
walking out, and I
see
just
you,
see the
Mark.
car going, and I'm like, fuck.
Like,
That's
this is,
wild.
they didn't fucking play. Okay.
Man.
Man.
So I wanted
all
to
right.
show you this since you see my phone. Do you
Is
see
that
this?
you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me
Do you know why I put that on there?
No, what?
Because you sent me that Jeezy clip about
oh.
him having to remember to like heal his inner child. So when I see this picture, I think of like next to it, but it doesn't fit, is my cousin who was like another sister to me. Like she lived in Long Beach, and me and my sister lived in San Bernardino when we were young. And Shamika sent me this clip from
the rapper Jeezy.
the rapper Jeezy, and he was talking about how he started going to therapy, and
Yes.
he started talking about healing his inner child, and he said that he made his screensaver a picture of him so he can always remember to like focus on him, and it's a consistent
Yep.
healing
Yep.
of himself. And I thought like, damn, I'm
Powerful.
not, yeah. And I told Shamika, I was like, man, I'm about to do that. And then I did it. And then it just makes me laugh every time. Cause then like I'm making better decisions for myself. Cause I'm like, fuck,
Because of that.
Yeah.
But that's so dope to see you
Yeah.
on that right now. So I don't have it on my phone, but I do have a picture in my office, which is a split picture of me as an adult and then little Mimi.
yeah.
But it's in my office.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is a reminder
for sure.
of
But then it just thinks like it goes into the sibling trauma, right? Because like whatever, I mean, it literally happened to this chick.
Man.
Not, you know what I mean? Like not me, it happened to
Right.
this chick right,
Right.
here.
right.
So then I think of like some stuff I feel guilty about because
Right.
oh, I shouldn't.
We can
I
talk
put
about
my- yeah.
guilt another time.
No, like I put my nose in like you know what I mean. I stressed her out so
Yeah.
much because I was feeling the need that I had to carry the weight because I
Yeah.
was the older sibling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
Wait, that was
you
a
got-
big.
gotta give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Dang,
yourself
that
some
was a big
grace.
part. Carrying the weight
Yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely a good wrap up of that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts?
No.
No, I just think that was really
Yeah.
good, and just taking
Yeah.
the boundaries and the limits off, just being free.
Yeah. So catch us on Spotify, anywhere you download your podcasts. contact us at the professors podcast at yahoo.com. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring our podcast.
Yes.
Don't mess with my money and don't mess with my D.